Welcome back, everybody. So, today I am going to cover about the Epstein files. I mean, like, I'm sure everybody is aware of the whole noise regarding the newly released Epstein files. I mean, like, there are 3 million files, okay, released related to the Epstein files, okay, so many things to cover. But today I'm going to focus on the Chabad Lubavitch mentioned in the files. So, let's get started. Alrighty, welcome back. So I found an article in which the article was saying that there was this informant, okay? The identity of this informant is kept hidden from the public, okay, because FBI wants to protect the informant identity. Uh, but basically, this informant was saying that Chabad Lubavitch has a lot of influence in the US and also in Russia. Okay, so I'm going to share with you these FBI documents. So let's get started. Okay, let me start reading by saying caption confidential human source. CHS. So after this, if I refer to if I say CHS, it refers to confidential human source. Okay. Anyway, let's get started. So, Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, CHS, learned that Dershowitz influenced many students from wealthy families. For example, Josh Kushner and Jared Kushner were both his students. Dershowitz told CHS that if he were young again, he would be holding a stun gun as an Israeli intelligence Mossad agent. Okay. CHS believed Dershowitz was co-opted by Mossad and subscribed to their mission. CHS still continues to communicate occasionally for Dershowitz. Okay. So interesting, in case you guys don't know, Alan Dershowitz was the lawyer for Jeffrey Epstein. And apparently he had influence over Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner was his student. Jeffrey Epstein was represented by Dershowitz. CHS remembered Dershowitz tell Alex Ocasio, U.S. Attorney of Southern District of Florida at that time, that Epstein belonged to both the U.S. and intelligence services. Surprise, surprise. CHS shared phone calls between Dershowitz and Epstein during which she took notes. After these calls, Mossad would then call Dershowitz to debrief. Epstein was close to former Prime Minister of Israel Ehud Barak and trained as a spy under him. Barak believed Netanyahu was a criminal. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United Emirates are allied against Qatar, Turkey, Iran, and Syria. Interesting. One of CHS's blank asked CHS a lot of questions about Epstein. CHS became convinced that Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent. Also, CHS advised Shabbat is doing everything they can to co-opt the Trump presidency. I mean, like, Trump is constantly being seen with this orthodox. I'm going to address the race that starts with the word J and end with the word W as Judy, okay, in order for me to circumvent YouTube censorship, okay? I mean, like, Trump is constantly being seen with this orthodox Judy, or to be more precise, the Chabad Lubavitch group, okay? Shabbat is basically state-sanctioned Judaism. It is used by Putin to keep tabs on the Russo-Jewish oligarchs. Now, I disagree with this, and I will show to you guys later why I disagree with this. I don't think Putin keep tabs using this Shabbat group. I feel like it's the other way around. The Shabbat Lubavitch group is influencing Putin. On the day Trump was elected president, Ivanka Trump and Jared were at the gravesite of Rabbi Schneerson, who was the most powerful rabbi in the Shabbat network. Now, I mean, like this Shabbat group, they believe that Rabbi Schneerson was the Messiah, okay? Even though this guy is already dead and there's still no Messiah, they believe that at some point they still believe this rabbi is their Messiah. And they believe at some point that this rabbi, he is going to be reincarnated or resurrected, whatever you want to call it, okay? Jared didn't close his stake in Cadre because of its ties to the Russian state. CHS believed this is the real Russian collusion story. Kushner has moved a lot of Russian investment money around. The FBI should investigate Kushner's family charities to find evidence of corruption and money laundering. Shabbat routinely uses charities to launder money. I mean, like, it's so obvious already at this point. I mean, like, I'm not gonna elaborate on this. You can do your own research. They do routinely uses charities to launder money. Okay, this is speculation. I don't have any proof to. I don't have any hard evidence to prove that. Okay, but I mean, like, who are we kidding with? Article, Jim. No, 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 this one is not important. Okay, I think that's it. Blah blah blah. Okay, that's it. Now I want to move on to the next article. Okay. So this one, yep. Now this article was saying, I can't believe I never saw this, okay? But this was back in 2023, okay? So the article says Putin fires top official who described Shabbat as a supremacist cult. No reason given for dismissal of Assistant Secretary of the Russian Security Council Alexei Pavlov, but reports noted his controversial statement. I mean, like this guy, I've already checked. This guy worked for him for a long, long time. Okay, so he's probably one of his most loyal, Putin's loyal supporters, and he fired this guy simply because he correctly labeled Shabbat as a supremacist cult. Unbelievable. And then I also want to share you guys with this. Is it here? Mm, no, not this one. Yep, this. So there was a leaked email between one of the Rothschild family. I don't know what his full name is, but he is a Rothschild to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. No, actually, Jeffrey Epstein first sent an email to this Rothschild. Okay. So Jeffrey was saying Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities. Many. And then Rothschild replied to him and said, Hi Jeff, very long day sitting on bank board. Numbers are okay, but not satisfactory to me. And I'm putting them under pressure to be more innovative about asset management funds while restructuring. I'm in a dinner with a client, fed up. I miss our talks and hope you're well. We'll be home tomorrow night. Will you be free? And let's discuss Ukraine. These people are unbelievable. Okay. I mean, like, I feel like Putin has already been owned by Chabad Lubavitch. And, it's interesting that the CHS, the confidential human source, something like that, tried. I think she doesn't understand the whole picture. He or she probably thought that Russia or Putin was not ally with Chabad Lubavitch, but to me it's obvious. I mean, like if you're willing to fire one of your top official for correctly labeling a supremacist group as a supremacist cult, then it just shows that you are a Jewish. You are a judicial. In case you don't know what Judy means, Judy is a race that starts from the word J and ends with the word W. Okay. So, what am I trying to say here? If you guys have been a regular follower of my channel, you probably know that I have already come up with this theory that the Jews, or more specifically, the people from Israel, they know already they can't survive in Israel. I mean, like, to start with, all their neighbors hate them, okay? So they know they can't survive in the Middle East. So it's just a matter of time before they get completely annihilated. And I also just recently read an article where there isn't enough water in Israel, okay? I mean, like, the infrastructure doesn't support that many, cannot support that many people because the geography just sucks, okay? So I feel like they need a new homeland. And to those of you who thinks I'm talking crazy, this is what the Chabad Lubavitch, most famous rabbi, most influential rabbi who has already passed away, by the way. But this is what he has to say, okay, before he died. 1 second, let me find the article. Okay, so I'm just going to read to you guys, okay? This is what he said before he died. Looking back in history, by this land, he means Ukraine, okay? These lands are the ancient ancestral lands of the Jewish Khazaria. That is Israel captured by the Kiev's Rus in the 10th century, okay? The Slavs are temporary guests on these lands. We will return this territory and build the great Khazaria, the Jewish state, on these fertile lands, the same way as 50 years ago we created Israel, squeezing the Palestinians out. Israel will partially relocate here and we will drive Slavic cattle out of the north beyond Moscow into Indian style reservations. Now, this person who wrote this article, he also said, to those critics who argue that there is no authenticity to the fact that the rabbi had put such a plan forward, Ukraine's Jewish president Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the validity of the plan. I mean, like, this is not directly, but indirectly, he sort of confirmed this plan, okay? When he told reporters that he and NATO were aiming to transform post-war Ukraine into a big Israel, which means greater Israel. According to Alex Rubinstein's article, within the next 48 hours of Zelensky's statement, Atlantic Council linked to NATO and Israel had an article on how it's important to support the war in Ukraine as it can be a hyper-militarized NATO bastion whose national identity would be defined by its ability to project US power against Russia. I mean, like, according to link to NATO, Israel I mean, like, this article is presuming that the US and Russia are enemies, which I don't think so. Okay. I think it's all just an act. In other words, the same argument Zionists used to extract billions from the Americans to support Israel as a bastion of power against Islam and Arab countries. To establish a Jewish state in Ukraine, the rabbi says, we will use our old method, divide and conquer. A Ukrainian will think that he is fighting against an expansionist Russia. Fighting for his independence will think that he has finally found his freedom while he is completely dependent on us. And blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, I mean, like, this rabbi has officially stated that, okay. And at the same time, Russia or Putin is constantly being surrounded by this Chabad Lubavitch. Okay, there are plenty of pictures with him having meetings with Lubavitch, and apparently he had many meetings, recorded many meetings with this Chabad Lubavitch group. Okay, so I mean, like, if you are really a sincere leader, like I've kept on seeing on ads that people are saying, oh, Putin is the Christian leader, okay? He is fighting for Christianity and so on. But if you are fighting for Christianity, then why are you constantly being surrounded by this Shabbat Lubavitch group and you just fired one of your top officials for correctly labeling this group as a supremacist cult? And it's impossible that you don't know about this speech that the rabbi made, Rabbi Schneerson, which the Lubavitch movement consider as their messiah, okay? Even though he is already dead, they still consider him as their messiah. They said probably he is going to reincarnate or resurrected in the future. Unbelievable, okay? And also, it's funny because I see some posts on X where they were saying that Russia is fighting for the white European race. I mean, like, I'm not a white supremacist. I'm not an Asian white supremacist, but I do believe that every race should want to preserve their own race, okay? I mean, like, you can't expect your country to function um soundly if you keep on taking immigrants, okay? So I get it. I get why some countries, especially in the West, they have enough they have too many immigrants and they have had enough of it. I get it. But at the same time, I don't think Russia is fighting for the white race. You guys are being delusional. Wake up already. This guy is part of the globalist cabal. Okay. I mean, like, he invade Ukraine and kill many Russian men, okay, forcing them to go to war, killing many Russian men, and now he's complaining. He said, "Oh, we no longer have enough workers, so now we have to import all those Indians into Russia." This guy is unbelievable. Okay, he is now replacing the white Russian, which is already suffering from low fertility rate, and then he's bringing in all these Indians, and they're probably gonna make lots of babies. And then these people who are delusional thinks that, oh, this guy is the savior of the white race. Oh my God. Like, the post on X is really funny, okay? But I urge people to wake up. I mean, like, I couldn't be more convinced that there is a plan for a new Khazaria. Previously, I shared a video of this guy called Igor Berkut, okay? I have my informants, okay? And he said Igor Berkut is actually just their puppet, okay? I mean, like, he doesn't play any important role, but he is just their puppet. But whatever it is, okay? Previously I reacted to a video by Igor Berkut, and he was saying that initially he said that there was a plan. This was back in 2014, by the way. 2014, 15 or 16, somewhere around that area, okay. Initially there was a plan for to turn Ukraine. I mean, like, he was talking about new Khazaria even 10 to 11, 12 years ago. So in that video, he was saying that the plan was 5-5-5, 5 years of. So the 5-5-5 plan is that for the first 5 years, from 2014 to 2019, it will be the period of rotting and decomposition of the existing Ukrainian system state. This phase allegedly involved destabilization, corruption, and internal decay to weaken Ukraine. Okay, and then um, to weaken Ukraine, which um, and then the next 5 years from 2019 to 2024, destruction and fragmentation. This involved further breakdown, division of the country, and creation of chaos. often tied by proponents to events like the war in Donbass or broader geopolitical shift, the war that you're currently seeing in Ukraine right now. I mean, like previously seen. Right now, I feel like they are negotiating a peace deal, and then final 5 years reformatting or reconfiguration. This is described as the active resettlement and building phase, where millions of Jews would arrive to establish New Jerusalem as a prosperous hub using advanced technology. Okay, so 555. Okay, the first 5 years, the rotting period. Okay, and then the next 5 year war period, and then next 5 years is resettlement. But later on, he did say that his 555 period prediction was wrong, okay, because he later on said that he talked to a what we call Kabbalah witch or shaman or something like that, okay. I think it's a Kabbalah shaman. Talked to a Kabbalah shaman, and he said the more accurate timeline should be 666. Interesting, right? 666, number of the devil. Anyway, so it should instead be 2014 and to 2020, the rotten period, okay? 2020 and to 2026, war period, okay? 2026 and to 2032, resettlement. So, I mean, like, the period couldn't be more accurate, right? I mean, like, 2014 and to 2020, that was the rotten period of the current system of Ukraine. All the corruption, the dethroning of government, and so on, many nasty things happens at that time, okay? And then from the period 2020 and to 2026, I mean, like, somewhere around that time, there was the war in Ukraine, and the 2026 resettlement. Is it a coincidence that they started this negotiation talk in 2026? It seems like the Ukrainian war is finally going to end, right? Is it just a coincidence that come 2026, they finally had, they don't have a peace agreement yet. I don't think so. But, it's moving towards that direction. I don't think the war is going to continue after this. So it's amazing how many of his prediction is correct. And it's interesting how they sent Jared Kushner, who is also, I mean, like, he is not part of the Shabbat Lubavitch, but he has been known as trying to suck up to the Shabbat Lubavitch. He so wanted to join that group, okay? And now he is being represented at the negotiation table between Ukraine and Russia. And by the way, why the hell is he sitting at the negotiation table between Ukraine and Russia? Like I said before, not a government official, not a civil servant. So why are you there, Jared Kushner? And also from the FBI release document, it says that actually Trump is just a puppet and it's Jared Kushner who is actually running things in Washington, D.C. So what is it exactly that he is trying to achieve in Ukraine? Now, some people have been suggesting that what he really wants is the Gaza, what we call waterfront hotel project in Gaza, right? I don't think so. Because I don't think that's how Zionist works, okay? I don't think Israel wants greater Israel project, and there was also controversy surrounding the uh, Argentinian fire, Patagonia fires, and then there's controversy surrounding the Cyprus Israeli takeover of Cyprus. I don't think they want any of this. I think they want Ukraine because Zionists, that's not how Zionists work. When it's too obvious for our eyes to see, it usually is actually convenient distractions, in my opinion. Okay, Zionists don't work like that. Zionists work very quietly. Okay, like how they stole Palestinian land, like what, 80 years ago, 100 years ago. Nobody knows about it. Nobody realized it was happening until it was too late to do anything. So if it's too obvious for our eyes to see, I don't think that is what they want. Notice how nobody talks this in the media. Okay, I'm not talking about media as in media, the um big media companies like Fox and CNN and CNBC. Of course, they're not going to talk about it. I mean, like they are owned by the Judy, right? So I'm talking about podcasters who are supposedly free speech. Candace Owens, where are you? Kim Iverson, Tucker Carlson. Are you telling me you guys never even heard about the new Kazaria project? I doubted it. Someone with your connection, you probably have heard about it. Why are you not covering this? I mean, like, of course, I have no proof at all that this is happening, okay? But at the same time, I feel like it's worthy covering about this. Well, the plan is ongoing. Maybe you have a chance to stop this. If this turns out to be true and you ignore it while you have the chance to cover it, don't you feel like, you are guilty? You could have covered about it, but you didn't. Or I don't know, maybe you are just part of the control opposition ops. I don't know. And also, to be fair, I did actually contact multiple podcaster, the big name podcaster, because I want this story to go out. Okay. I told them they can react to my videos. I won't issue a strike at all. And I also tell them, even if you still don't want to do that, you can actually use the information I have in my channel, and you don't even have to mention my name, mention my channel. Okay. I won't issue you a strike. I don't care about money. I just want this story to get out. Okay. But the response I get from them, two of them, okay, I'm not going to name names, but the response I get from them is that they don't want to cover this because there's no facts to it. I mean, like, there's no proven facts that this is going on. They don't do, they don't want to cover it because right now it's too conspiratorial. I mean, like, these two channels coming from both of these channels are very conspiratorial channel, okay? So, are you kidding me? I mean, like the channel just recently, one channel, one of the respondent of my email, he just recently covered a video about Nick Fuentes, who is supposedly a Freemason, but he provided no facts out at all. The only thing he said about Nick Fuentes being a Freemason is that because Nick Fuentes never covered about Freemason. That's it. That's his only proof. I mean, like, you don't want to cover this story because there's no proof, but at the same time, you are very speculative yourself. You accuse somebody of being Freemason when you have no proof. Give me a break. Anyway, um, what do I feel like is going to happen in the future? I feel like if you notice that and you wonder what is going on with America right now, I mean, like, their country has gone down the gutter, okay? And I'm not exaggerating. In my opinion, what is happening is that the Judis, they can no longer rely on America because Americans have been awakened. They finally realize who the real enemy is, okay? And it's not the Islamists, even though some people are still delusional. A lot of people are still delusional. The majority has awakened, okay? They finally realize it's not the Islamists that is the problem, it's the Judis, okay? And the Judis know they cannot rely on America anymore, okay? Think of it. America is a democratic country. Some people does not consider it a democracy, but by and large, you can say whatever you want in America, unlike in Russia or China. Okay, but America is a democratic country with gun rights. Okay, so America can, to a certain extent, America can keep the government in check, in line. Okay, so even though they have infiltrated American government, it will be useless if Americans decided they've had enough of this corrupt system, if they revolt and they have a French Revolution like uh, riots, the entire cabal could fall. Okay. So, the Judy already know this, they cannot rely on America. And to be honest, what is their plan according to the Talmud? According to the Talmud, their plan is global domination. Taking into consideration the small population, how are they going to achieve this? The only way they can achieve this is through AI and robots, the AI surveillance system. And if you want to implement the AI surveillance system, who would be who would be your ally? Which one would be a better ally, the West or Russia and China? You probably want to ally with a communist country, right? I mean, China already has the social credit system, which is kind of some form of the AI surveillance system that they are planning. Okay. And then with all the recently World Economic Forum, they keep talking about global reset and so on. I will cover it in the future, very near future. Okay. They keep on talking about the global reset and so on. What I feel they mean by that is that there will be, by global reset, is that I feel like there will be a new world order. I mean, like I said, they can no longer rely on the West because the West hates Israel. Okay. So now they need to make these alliances, US, Europe, and Japan, they need to destroy them. How? By the upcoming World War III that I feel like is going to happen. It's like an inevitable at this point, okay? And the victor will be China and Russia. I mean, like, I can already read the script, okay? I mean, like, catch me in 10 years from now, okay? And see whether I've been proven right or wrong. But, yeah, I feel like they are going to destroy the US, Europe, and Japan. And they are going to ally with Russia and China. And, you know, they need Ukraine because of what? Ukraine has a lot of minerals, critical minerals, by the way, for that can be used in semiconductor, which is very useful in the AI surveillance system. I mean, you need the chips, right? So they're going to control all the minerals. They're going to control all the AIs. I mean, like considering the destruction that is going to happen in America, my prediction is there's going to be civil war in America very soon. The government is ramping up, all this left versus right thing. And there's going to be a lot of migrants coming to America. So civil war is coming in America and also in Europe, my prediction. So you guys better be prepared. Do not buy into the government propagandas, okay? Try to create as much as awareness about this as you can. And I don't know, let's just pray and hope for the best. Anyway, if you like this type of content, kindly subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, kindly press the like video and also please leave some comment. Until we see you again. Bye bye.